So my role at Black Bear is I am the senior finance manager. And so I was brought on when the company was fairly new. So we just started in, I believe, August 2022. And so my role to be brought onto the team was basically to set up an accounting system because there really was none when I started. So everything from all of our transactions were all being recorded basically in Excel, and there was no reporting being done. And so we were looking for a system that could basically help us do any sort of reporting. And my role was to assist with the implementation of that. Black Bear International is a UK distribution and international sales agency where we do basically film production, financing, distribution, and a little bit of everything in the film production distribution world. Well, Intacct, I've had a little bit of experience in the past with Intacct and Sage, and so I knew that it could not only give us the multi-entity function that we were looking for, because we do have 2 entities under Black Bear International, but also allow multiple users to run kind of all of the reports they were looking for. So specific to Black Bear International is we obviously have a number of titles with the industry that we're in. And so some people want to report on the P&Ls for across different titles. Some people want the, consolidated P&L. Some people want to see what the cash balance is. And so we knew that for the number of different users that wanted to see different reports, that Intacct would be able to do that for us and across the different entities. So we went into Intacct wanting to basically have one source of reporting. We wanted to avoid having to download reports from Intacct and then have to do a lot of manual work outside of the system. And so we wanted to build our reports, like I said previously, to basically, run all the reports in all the different views that we wanted to. And so for example, we wanted to run it on an accrual basis, but we also wanted to see it on a cash basis. We wanted to basically fulfill all of our reporting needs, or most of our reporting needs in Intacct, without having our employees have to do multiple work or multiple different works outside of the system and having to edit it in Excel and kind of manipulate the data to kind of do other things. And so we wanted to just make it as efficient as possible. The reason we decided to go with Intacct was the consolidation piece, first of all, was one of the big things, because we do have multiple entities that roll up into Black Bear International. And so that was one of the pieces. And then another piece for us deciding to go with Intacct was we do also have a number of different teams that need to submit purchase orders and all of that. And we could see that it was easy for them to kind of use the system. And it was simple for what they needed. And then that would also give us the data that we needed to do our reporting and to also do all of our payables and our cash and kind of everything that the finance team needed as well. Well, when we decided that to go with Intacct and we were looking for an implementation partner, we were looking for someone who really understood our business, because we're not just a typical, manufacturing or anything that has inventory. We do have, like I mentioned, multiple kind of parts. We have distribution, we have production, and a bunch of different parts that are kind of very unique that are not necessarily in kind of an off-the-shelf system. And so we knew it needed to be customized quite a bit for us. And so we were looking for someone who really understood our system and our needs and would be able to help us make Intacct or use Intacct in the best way possible for how we needed it to operate. So we decided to go with itas because when we were looking for a partner, we felt that they not only took the time to understand our business and they knew the needs of everyone on the team or everyone that would be using the system, but they also were very transparent in kind of what they could do, what they couldn't do. And prior to having us, sign anything or make any agreements, they held meetings with us to walk them through our processes and our business, so that they really understood everything that would need to be done and give us realistic timelines as well. And another thing was because we were so new and we didn't have a current system going, we were looking for something that we could implement rather quickly, but also do it correctly. And we felt that itas would be able to achieve both of those in terms of, understanding our business and implementing it how we wanted it, but also doing it in our rather quick timeline. So I believe we started having meetings with itas in mid-September, and we wanted to hopefully implement it or go live prior to having a hard December close, so prior to the new year. And we were able to do that by early December, we were able to go live. And so we were actually able to do a November close. And then now it being, now it's February, but in January, we were able to do our full year-end hard close. So we kind of used November as our test close and kind of getting all that data in. And then when December came, we had all the December data and we were working on December as basically it was happening. And then we were able to do our hard close for 2022, which was great. And it really helped us achieve our reporting deadlines. Being such a new company, I think the biggest concern for us was that there was no system. So we really didn't have anything to kind of base it off of and say, okay, this worked for us in the past and this worked for us, or this didn't work for us. And so we were kind of just going off of what we knew, and me being kind of the main point of contact and being new to the business, I was a little bit concerned of would we be able to capture everything and make sure that everyone's needs were met and that the system would be useful for everyone. So itas was really able to help us, like I said, in the pre-implementation meetings to make sure that they understood everyone's requirements and every kind of aspect of our business to make sure that we could achieve that as much as possible. The implementation process was really smooth. It started with, us having a lot of meetings and understanding the business, and itas assisting with the configuration and making sure that it worked. And then once kind of everything was set up, they gave us all of the testing scripts and everything so we could go in and do our testing. And being able to kind of log tickets and track everything in their system was really helpful, because then everyone was kind of on the same page of each issue that kind of we came across. And itas was really responsive in responding, and Martin particularly was really on track with kind of the bigger issues and the more urgent things that we wanted to address versus the ones that were kind of not as important, or, things that could kind of wait later down the line that weren't as a huge priority or as big of an issue for us. And so the implementation process was really smooth in that we were able to kind of track everything, and itas was really responsive and helpful for any questions and issues that we raised. In terms of functionality, I was surprised that there was actually more reporting than I thought was possible, and being able to customize the reports how we wanted it. And not only that, but we were able to actually have reports for our tax purposes. So for our US company, for example, we have to file 1099s, and I wasn't aware that we could actually mark transactions as 1099. And so it was really easy come year end to be able to kind of pull that data from Intacct and run those reports and be able to file our 1099s really, really quickly, which was great. The biggest impact is definitely that we are a lot more confident in our data, because we know that it's, in the system, and we have all the backup and support attached to it, and we can trace everything from, purchasing or purchase requisition to purchase order to the invoice to the cash payment and all of that. And so that's definitely been helpful. And then also, I think the biggest impact is that everyone can kind of see the data. So rather than having one person track the spreadsheet, there's, more segregation of duties here as well. And also that it's a lot more efficient is, I think, the biggest thing. It definitely has helped with our productivity and efficiency, and just being able to trace back any kind of certain transactions, we are able to see kind of the full flow of it directly in Intacct. definitely multiple like hours a week rather than having to kind of just make sure that everything like on the spreadsheet is, accurate. In Intacct, it's kind of, okay, I know it's missing, and just being able to do bank recs as well in Intacct and make sure that everything is captured, that definitely has saved us multiple hours a week or days, I think Intacct is really good for the entertainment industry, especially in the film business. Is the biggest thing for us anyway is being able to report on multiple titles and multiple different aspects of our business, because we do have so many moving parts. So reporting on titles, it was kind of the biggest thing for us, and having that historical data, because films can, take multiple years to kind of produce or get made, or before you need to, from when you start reporting on it or start incurring costs to when you stop, or when, you actually need the end report for it. And so for us, having the historical data, I think was the biggest thing. And I think that's going to be really useful in the future for us. Just, in 5 years from now, if we still need data for a certain title, we're going to have that backup in Intacct. I think the biggest success has definitely been just being able to report separately and kind of see how much revenue we have from certain customers, and not only that, but being able to allocate our costs across certain titles. There are a lot of instances where we incur costs, but we don't need to allocate that or it's not specific to a certain title, and then we do need to allocate that at a later date. So definitely being able to kind of see the spread and all of that has been probably one of the biggest successes. I don't know if it's a success for the business, but definitely for efficiency purposes on our end. So for our 2022 close, we had to report our drafts to our advisors by, I believe it was February 9th, and kind of the efficiency to get from where we were, which was basically we didn't have any reporting. And so it was kind of just, having these spreadsheets that we hoped were correct. And so now being able to have certain checklists and knowing that we're able to actually check these off and know that they're complete. So our timeline to report to our advisors and give them our drafts and present to the board as well, we're able to close that in, 2 weeks time rather than maybe a month, which is what we were doing before. Prior to Intacct, for purchase orders, for example, the marketing team would email us and I would give them a number that I kind of just made up and was tracking separately on a spreadsheet. And so now they're also able to see, when they submit purchase requisitions, they're able to see the full flow and know, the pricing and all of that. And they're able to see the invoices and kind of tie everything together and then track it against their budgets. So that they've definitely found it very useful as well, rather than before where we were basically doing everything outside of Intacct, obviously, and just tracking everything on a spreadsheet, and no one really knew how much we were spending or how much was kind of going in or out of the business. I'd say if you're looking at Intacct, to definitely consider what the uses are, and definitely prior to implementation, consider all of the reporting that you would need to do and the different kind of views or different kind of reports that you would need to run, because Sage Intacct definitely has the capabilities to do a lot more than I thought it could. And we're able to customize to, like I said, all of our different users and their needs and how they want to see it. I would definitely say take a look at all of the kind of different aspects that Intacct can offer. So everything from purchasing to order entry and all of that, and ensure that you utilize all of that and make sure that kind of the team or everyone in the business, it kind of is bought into it. I would say definitely if you're looking at itas as a partner, I would highly recommend them. They were definitely very helpful and very transparent and super on top of all of our needs, and very responsive when we had questions, even after the go live date. If there was anything that we weren't sure how to do or ran into issues with, they were super responsive and helpful, and always kind of willing to take a look at what the issue is, whether it be a user issue or if there's something that needed to be configured. Itas has always been really helpful in responding to our needs and issues very, very quickly, which has been great. And next on our Intacct journey is we're continuing to build our reports and utilize it as much as we can. So still, even today, I'm kind of finding certain features that I didn't know existed. And so kind of being able to utilize Intacct to its full capabilities is our big goals for the future. Yeah, just to stress again that itas specifically has been super helpful. I've gone through other system implementations before, and they have been either very difficult or just not super transparent or clear in what needed to be done, either what we needed to provide or what the team needed to do the implementation. And so I feel like with Intacct and then with itas, kind of knowing exactly what they needed to do and what information they needed from us and having clear deadlines was very helpful for myself and our whole team, so that everyone was on the same page and we were realistic with our timelines as well.